There's Big Planes here, and today I've got a lot to update you on the 787 project. So I know it's been a few days since the last update on this build, but yeah, the bricklink orders have been coming in quite slowly, so that is why some of the progress on this thing has not been as rapid as I had hoped. But let's get right into what I have done so far. So obviously, the wings in the last update were pretty much done, and they're not still they're still completely not done yet, but they're getting closer. But the main thing I wanted to show you on this update was the fuselage. So obviously the wings are done, and this battery box right here is just randomly hanging out here. This actually doesn't power the fuselage, this powers the lights. So I don't remember if I showed you this in the last update, but if you press this, it turns on this light here, which will be mounted at the bottom of the fuselage. It also turns on the wingtip lights on each side. So yeah, that was something they added, I believe, after the last update. So that's new. But yeah, let's dive right into the actual main gist of the update. So as you can see, I'm experimenting with techniques on how to get the roof. And no, this is not the final thing. Actually, this is more of just thrown together because I have parts on the way that will make this look a little bit more complete. But this is just generally my idea for how I'm going to get the roof. And no, it's not completely done yet. I'm still sort of figuring things out. But this idea that I'm going to use these curved slopes like this in this manner, which is something that's pretty new for building passenger planes, actually did not originate here, but it came first all the way over here in the 737 model. So as you can see, how this is all very smooth and tiled off and curved using curve slopes. This is the look I'm going for on the 787, just at a larger scale. This is versus using your conventional slopes like this, which I don't think look that bad as they're used with newer curve slopes, but I just think that this looks better. So that's sort of what I'm going with over here. It looks very smooth so far. I'm working on reducing these gaps, but I think part of that just has to do with the lighting, and once the plane's finally done, I can actually see what that's going to look like. But yeah, this one is exactly 18 studs wide versus, I believe, 10 or 12 on the other one. I don't know. This thing right here, which is just absolutely huge, has a 22 stud wide fuselage. This one's 18, and the 737 way over there is 12. So yeah, that's just sort of the breakdown of the widths of these fuselages. But yeah, so on the inside here, this does come off pretty easily. It's not attached super well right now, though I do have a technique. So you can see it is fairly sturdy. It's one piece. This technique that I'm using right here will be used on the top of the plane, as long also it will also be used on the bottom. So here's sort of the technique that I'm using. And like I said, this is all temporary. All these different multicolored parts are temporary. I have white ones on order to match the sky interior of the 787. But you can see the design that I'm going with is pretty simple. I'm just using brackets down the center. And like I said, they're only like every 5 or 6 studs that more like 8 studs that I'm actually using this technique. When I'm done, they'll be all the way down here. So this whole thing will be supported. It'll be much sturdier than it is now, so don't worry. But you can see here that I'm using like those hinges here along with brackets to sort of bracket and brace up the curve slopes on each side. And I think this works out pretty well. I will also be using this technique on the bottom of the plane for the underside of the fuselage, so it'll just be one completely smooth and tiled and polished off fuselage. So I'm really excited for that it's going to look. So after that, we sort of take a peek at the interior, which is probably what the next update's going to be about, the interior. So this is where the dilemma comes in. Here is my idea for a seat design. I'm going to pull the little guy right out. You can see that's my new idea. I am going to ditch try to get better lighting here. I'm going to ditch the pre-made Lego seats, the blue ones, for actually a more realistic one. And now this one does have the red headrest like the Norwegian aircraft seats would have, but this one also has the ability to be retracted back. Like, I know the seats on economy don't retract that back or recline that far back, but you can see it does now have the ability to do so. I think they would more go to about here, but yeah, I just think this looks a bit more realistic to what it would actually be. It's exactly the same width as the blue seats were before, so that works out fine, but this is where things get more complicated. The 787 Norwegian one that I'm doing has a 3-3-3 configuration. Now, I've already told you this before, that with Lego scale that won't quite work out, and that the best option would normally be to scale it down correctly would be having a 2-2-2 configuration. But I figured out that if you put 2-2-2, you'd need to have 2 here, 2, I'm just going to sort of show you this, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. The problem with that is, in order to fit minifigures in here, there has to be half a stud at least between each one, and that's even sketchy because they have to have sort of their arms up and one arm down, so I don't really like that very much, but it works. That's what I used on the 747 here. That's what I used way over there on the 737, so it does work. But the problem there is that since this is an 18 stud wide fuselage, that would leave us only an aisle that only has one stud, which is better than half a stud between the seats, but only an aisle that only has one stud between it, which isn't that much of an aisle. That would be like this guy trying to walk down like this with a seat right here. So that's not very much of an aisle, or right here actually. And the space in between the center seats in the very center would also have a stud between it. So it would almost be like there's 3 identical aisles, and there really wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to tell there's an aisle because it's there's not enough room. So the other idea that I have is to have a 1-3-1 configuration. Now this is a little bit more rare, but it does turn out that some 787s did have a 2-4-2 configuration, which I guess would be the scaled down version for this. I'm not as fond with this idea because it is not the correctly scaled down version from the Norwegian Airlines plane that had a 3-3-3 configuration. But this would give us a 2 stud wide aisle, so about this much of an aisle, and it would put 1 stud between each chair, which means that you could comfortably fit minifigures in each chair. So I'm probably leaning more towards that one just because it'll look better on display. It'll look less cramped when I open this up, but I just want to know what you guys think, because yes, I have been looking into that. I've been looking into very detailed ways on how I could fit 2 seats in here and 2 seats here with keeping larger aisles, but really there's just no way to do it that I could think of. So yeah, I will continue to look into that, but if you guys have any ideas, then please be sure to drop them in the comment section below. Now over here you can kind of see my experimenting with engines. Now I will be using these curved slopes like right here on this engines, and the next update will not have engines. The next update will be probably the interior, the more shaping of the fuselage. The update after that will be engines. So this is my design for a fan blade. Obviously it's not going to be in multicolor. We're going to have, these will all stick out. They're going to be 3 long like this, and there will be a tile with a plate under them. And these will all be in dark gray, and the spinner cone will be in black. I considered doing these all in black, but it turns out that it's more of a dark gray color when you look at it closer. So this is my idea for the fan blade. That should fit about a 9-foot diameter, or 3-meter wide fan blade, as you can see here. So yeah, that's something I'm experimenting with. And for the chevrons on the engines, this is an idea I'm going to try to use. This is, these are the these are just plates on hinges. These are the hinge plates with those tooth pieces that I believe came out in an Ninjago set a while ago. So I'm going to use them like this. You can see that lines up just correctly with that, and that will be the serrated edges on the back of the engine. Again, I'm not 100% sure on some of these techniques, but I'm just sort of brainstorming some ideas right now. So this video is already 8 minutes long, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. Hopefully there will be another update on this coming soon, and I'm really excited for this progress. It's really speeding up like it really should be, because we've been spending way too much time on the wing and on small things that you probably don't care about. So that's all the progress that I have for this video. If you liked it, please hit subscribe. I'm not going to ask you, never mind. That's all for this video, and bye for now.